auspicious because 100 years back, about 70, 75 people gathered in Portland and they planted a sapling. Take a chair. Let it fall down. So today we are not so many, but of course today is working day, so many people could not come this time. But whatever, this is this is a spiritual organization, and it's not very attractive. All the time we talk about Brahman, Brahman, this world is not real. So naturally. So anyway, we have to remember our past, right from Sri Ramakrishna. When Sri Ramakrishna was suffering from cancer and he was shifted to Kashipur Garden House. Before that he went to Balram's house and then to Shampukur Bati, but finally when he was placed in Kashipur Garden House, then came the devotees who were really sincere, totally devoted. They came. And gradually, centering Sri Ramakrishna, a small group started living together, eating together, and this way a bond was created. And after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, they gathered at another place, Baranagar Bhat. But before that, Sri Ramakrishna, before departing, he gave ochre clothes to some chosen people, I think 14 that time. So that is the establishment of Ramakrishna Math. And later it was transferred to Alam Bazar Math and then Belur Math. And when Swami Vivekananda, after the visit to the West, returned to India, he established Ramakrishna Mission on 1st of May 1897. 4 years he was here. 1897, 1st of May. So Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission, twin organization. But Ramakrishna, before Sri Ramakrishna Math and Mission, the Vedanta societies were established. So one where Swamiji is coming from, New York, another in San Francisco. That was in 1894. Right? 1894. And the other one is 1900, San Francisco. But here it came later, as Maharaj told, that Swami Abhedanandaji came here, and also we have that record. And then gradually a nucleus started forming, and then the Vedanta Society was started here, and now we are completing 100th birthday. But this is only birth year. So we'll complete it in 1 year. So we'll have 1 year program, and every month 1 or 2 monastics will come, and they will bless us, they will guide us. So this is very important year for us. And we are very fortunate to have my dear brother, Swami Sarva Priyananda. I know him for long, from his Deoghar Vidyapit days. But otherwise also I feel very close to him. So it is Mother's grace that he is today here. Why? Because he was originally supposed to come in September. Then a function was organized in Huntsville. So he telephoned me, can we, Maharaj, change the date? Can we make it October? I said, yes, you because in my mind also I was thinking if he could come in October, that would be wonderful. So, by Mother's grace, that happened. So, without taking much time, so this is Vedanta Society, what we do here. Not only we talk about Brahman, Vedanta, but we also serve people. Those who are really sincere, those who are really seeking, they come here, they get peace. And we try to serve in many ways, not only support, psychological or some other ways, but we try. Though we do not have lots of money, so we cannot do a lot. But whatever is possible by the grace of Mother, by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, by the grace of Swami Vivekananda, we try to pass on the knowledge part and also their blessings. We are only conduit. It is the source is there. So with a little background previous, now I'll request Shayan to talk about something of this center because he has gone through the records. So he'll speak about this ashram and then Swami Sarva Priyananda.
Okay, so good morning everyone. Uh, last time I yielded my time to an AI on Saturday, so I thought today I will come myself in full form. So the thing is that today is very interesting because so I'll go to a big back in time. As Swamiji mentioned that Swami Vivekananda came in 1893 to Chicago. In his first visit, he met somebody called Sister Lolita. Sister Lolita is very important for our center in that way because one of the earliest groups that started meeting in the city of Portland was organized by Sister Lolita, and it happened in a suburb of Lake Oswego. So in Lake Oswego, a group started forming, and they were the first group who originally were there, and these were the people Swami Abhidananda was visiting while he came to Seattle, and he was going down south to San Francisco to meet his Guru Bhai Hari Maharaj or Swami who was starting the Shanti Ashrama there, Turiyanandaji. So now after this, we come to 1923 when Swami Prabhavananda gets posted to San Francisco. He starts coming to Portland, again meeting with this group of people in Lake Oswego. And he starts taking classes. Then this idea comes up that a society needs to be incorporated. So our incorporation date is this date in 1925. But in those days, I think the society needed to be incorporated in two places, one with the federal government, one with the state government. So the state government date is exactly 2 years down on the same date of the state of Oregon. Now, a meeting was held with about 70 people in that hotel does not exist anymore in Portland, in one of the meeting rooms or meeting halls of this hotel in Portland in the downtown area, what is downtown area today, and then our society was incorporated. So that was kind of the first event. Swami Prabhavananda was our first minister in charge, and then began a long quest for finding a permanent home of the society. So first, Sister Lolita and this group in Lake Oswego collected $1,000 in 1926 to find out a place in the Lake Oswego area. They found out some place and they thought that money was adequate to buy that. Unfortunately, there were local groups that did not want a Hindu Vedantic society back in those days in their neighborhood. So as a result of that, that property we could not purchase it. So this continued for about 2 years, and then Swami Prabhavananda had to leave to go and start Hollywood. He gave us Swami Vividishananda, and he started here. But immediately as he started, United States was under the Great Depression. It was a very tough time for the society, and maintaining the financial balances of the society was very difficult. Swami Vividishananda could not be properly supported. So about within 9 months in 1929, he left for Seattle. Swami Vividishananda's going to Seattle is very interesting because that is how the Seattle Center's journey began, and he basically established that. So we remained without a minister in charge for about 3 years. The country recovered, and so did the economy. Immediately the devotees gathered, and they again asked Swami Prabhavananda for another monastic member as minister in charge. This is how Swami Devatmananda in 1932 came here as the minister in charge. And that's how our movement practically started in full force, I would say. He was able to purchase this property that we have in Scapus, the first part, about 120 acres back in 1936. You wouldn't believe 120 acres for $1,000. Yes, that was it. And the society could not afford those $1,000 in those days. The society could only afford $500. So they gave that money and waited and prayed that the other $500 show up. It was such a crunch that it might never show up. Eventually what happened, in summer months in those days, Swami used to visit California. It is written in our board meeting minutes of 1936 that an anonymous devotee, while he was in California, donated this $500 to him, which is how we were able to purchase the first part of Scapus. We still do not know who gave those $500 as of today. Now with that journey began. It was a barren land, and we have many pictures of devotees and all the volunteers plant karma yogis. I would exactly use the word karma yogis, planting trees there. That has been going on for the last 90 years now. So now after that, Swami Devatmananda started looking for a permanent ashrama place in the city of Portland. That was his next advent. So he found out one. The location is 1877 Southwest 3rd. How I know this out of the top of my head, I'll tell you a reason. So that building does not exist anymore today. So Swami Devatmananda went there, and it was a house. It was a 2-storied house. He purchased it, and there he set up the first, like this kind of a chapel. And he was an avid, you see, our tradition is Nitya Puja. We see in our records that he practically started daily worship in that place. And people would have many experiences. They have written their experiences, how they would feel about him doing various kinds of worship. And it was a totally American audience. Now, Swami Devatmananda used to get only $5 a month for his expenses. That was to maintain his own expenses, his food and everything. It's just unimaginable. We cannot think about it, how he ran things in 1937. Now, after that, that building stayed with us. But he did so much of hard work to kind of, buy a building in the city of Portland, and then, do so much work with the, you see, even today we have Devatmananda's cottage in Scapus. It's a small room, and he used to stay there sometimes. So that hard work kind of, I think, took a toll on his health. So in 1953-54, he started falling sick. He decided that he would leave United States and go back to India and retire. So that's what he did. He left in 1954, and he never came back. Now, this is how Swami Asheshananda comes in. But originally, Swami Asheshananda did not come to Portland. He came to the eastern side of New York, where, so in New York we have 2 centers. One is the western side where Swamiji is there, Sarvapriyanandaji. On the eastern side, we have another ashrama, started by Swami Nikhilananda, who is the translator of the gospel in English. So Josephine MacLeod was still alive. We have a picture of Swami Asheshananda with MacLeod in that building. And Swami Asheshananda arrived in 1949 by a ship. Now, because obviously no planes, via ship. Now, this is a very interesting time of history. India became free in 1947, but the constitution was not available until 1950. So when Swami Asheshananda came, he still came with a British Indian passport system. Yes, in the book ABCs of Spiritual Life, you can see This is unbelievable. In 1949, when he came at the ship, when his ship docked, Immigration and Natural Services looked at, like, knew that he was a religious preacher, so they they issued him a green card on his passport itself. We do have it. It is there in the book. The picture of it is like a sticker, like one of those tickets that you know go to get food. Like it's like literally like a sticker like that, and that was placed. It's there in Terence's book. So he was there for 6 years. Now it was a very interesting situation. Originally, Swami Nikhilananda was his friend, but suddenly he became his manager. He could not take it anymore. After 6 years, he said, I am not going to stay here. So he decides that what he would do, whether he would go back to India or in between. So Swami Prabhavananda says, why don't you come and start staying in Trabuco Canyon? So he goes to Trabuco Canyon. He feels that what he should do, because he has no proper duty, he starts writing a life story of Holy Mother. We have about 23 pages of that biography that he started writing. There he got inspired by the shrine trails that Trabuco was trying to make at that time. You can see later on how it came to us. So after Swami Devatmananda leaves, there is a void here for minister in charge, and Swami Asheshananda was available at that time, and Swami Prabhavananda made the connection. That's how he came here. He came to that building itself. Things went on for the first 8-9 years, but suddenly the city of Portland decides to annex that building in 1877 Southwest 3rd. Today, that is the Portland State University Library. Okay, so the city annexed the building. They give Swami Asheshananda a lump sum amount. We still do not know how much. It's not exactly written, a lump sum amount, and then it becomes very difficult for him. He starts staying in a place in Northwest, in an apartment, rented place, with his practically lifelong devotee, Mr. Bush. Mr. Bush comes from a very rich family in the state of Oregon. You go to Salem, Oregon, you find Bush Gardens, that is named after his family. So he was the eldest son of this family, and he decided that he stay with his guru. So in Northwest Portland, there was inside that rental, there was an altar. That altar is still there in our Kapus temple. If you see that wooden altar that is there on the side, that was the altar that was used at that time for the worship. So we have letters written by Swami Vireshwarananda. We have letters written by Swami Gambhirananda to him at that time, that how he can run the society, because he is staying in a rental. He suddenly lost the place, but by Mother's grace, we find this place in 1966. This was a dentist building. 4 dentists used to run a shop here. They decided to leave this, and this remained in an interesting state.
I think they objected, they never objected.
So then this was found out in a little bit different state than what we see today. Maharaj and his vision came into existence. We see the original pictures. These were not there. So this is a direct thing that you can see, which is Maharaj's, Swami Asheshananda's dream architecture or dream design. This kind of painted glasses, those pillars that we see, and the shrine room. There is a reason why the shrine room is so small. It was the garage of this building. Unfortunately, yes, Swami converted it to a shrine, and this proves beyond doubt that a stone from a river can become Narayana when we worship it as Narayan Shila for decades, right? It proves beyond doubt that there is so much power and strength there. So that is the journey of this building, and by God's grace, we have been here for the last 5 decades. So, but during Swami Asheshananda's time, obviously, couple of other things also happened. We have a building called Holy Mother's House that was purchased during his time. And we had another property now that was unfortunately not with us anymore. It was purchased by another devotee, but we had another property also with us in Salmon Street for a short period. In 1975 or something, the Oregon Tax Board wanted to tax us for the Kapus property. They came, and we have that letter, and they said that what do you do in 120 acres of land which is, in this kind of status. And Swami was not sure how to answer this. So that brought the idea of the shrine trails. That's how the original Kapus shrine trails came, the original first temples, and they were designed and built by two other monks who were in this building for many, many years, Swami Atmajayananda, who has left us, and Swami Harananda, who has also left us. They both worked heavily, and even this, I think Jim, we have Eve Pryor here till today. Eve's husband, Jim, was how the Buddha shrine
Yes.
in the backyard came together. So you will see many, many things around us that are made, designed, and we still have people from that time. We have a picture from 1966 of Eve standing in behind this area where things were constructed. When I showed her the picture, she was like, "Oh, this is how I look like." I even forgot how I look like. So that was an interesting thing. You heard Soma, who was here over the last couple of days. We were lucky to find out some letters in Bengali that he wrote to his relatives, Swami Asheshananda. So after 1976, we kind of see an influx of devotees constantly. I think we have a few here who have been around from that time, and his time continued till 1991 in full force. I think suddenly in 1991 his body started slowing down, and Swami Shantarupananda was sent from India to help and to assist. So that brought Swami Shantarupananda here. If you know about him, he was an avid great cook. Many people remember him by that. At least my wife does. He was a great fan of rose flowers. You will see, he would take everyone to the rose garden every year, and there are many, many interesting memories of him being very playful with a lot of devotees. The society lost Swami Asheshananda in 1996, and Swami Shantarupanandaji took charge. His time here was, I think, very vividly memorized by many, many people. We have Philip here, who was a resident in this temple for about 5-6 years, and his time went through ups and downs because his own health. Also, unfortunately, we have Graza, where I think she used to live in Hawaii at that time, and Swami Shantarupananda visited her place in Hawaii and stayed with them. We have a devotee in DC who used to visit, who he used to visit every year. We have devotees, like Swami was talking about Alabama. We had devotees coming here who told that Maharaj used to visit them in in Alabama every couple of years. So beyond that, Swami Shantarupanandaji unfortunately started feeling his body started giving up sometime around 2015. Swami was already assigned, Swami Chandrasekharananda was already assigned to come here, but as is the usual situation with US immigration, it takes a hell a long time. So Swami could not come in time. In the meantime, Belur Math authorities sent Swami Aparananda as our interim head and our minister in charge. He came and supported the society for about 6 months. He is a very well-known person here from long time. He used to visit during Swami Asheshananda. He was a great, great friend of Swami Shantarupananda. Everybody remembers him very vividly. We are thankful to Swami Aparananda even supporting us till today, as and when we have needed him. Swami Chandrasekharananda took charge in 2015, December, from Swami Aparananda directly. And that is
1st of January.
yeah, and that is the era we are in. If you take from the minister in charge, in this time, in 2020, we made a significant change to our place. In Skapus, we were able to purchase another 169 acres of land. Now, this is the difference. These 169 acres of land came about for more than $500,000. And that first 120, you already know how much money we spent for it. So, but that was a significant addition, and you can see today that the afforestation programs have started already there. A couple of shrines have already come up there, and the next generation of shrines, I believe, will eventually happen as time progresses. Today we have about 14 there, 15 now, and hopefully many more. So that's the journey of the society in, as in a nutshell. Our services have also increased with time. About a couple of years ago, a lot of our devotees came together for the transition projects, to work with transition projects directly for the service to God, as
Serve God in man.
serves God in Man project. And then also a couple of other things. Our society has actively contributed many devotees from here to various incidents in India and around the world, on a charitable basis. And I think our journey has just begun. I think there is a lot more to do. There is a lot more to explore, and there is a lot more to push forward by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna. Thank you.
Only two, three, I think, say addition or correction. Before PSU taken over that that building, where now a library stands. Before that, we had another place where the ashrama was there, and Swami Asheshananji lived about 2 years in an apartment that's also close by. And Swami Devatmanandaji worked very hard, especially for plantation and the small cottage that we see. He used to live there. And of course, sometimes he would not have money to pay the bill, for milk, as we know. So this is a little, that the first one was there. Okay. So Maharaj, now please.
ॐ जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः. My pranams to revered. Is this on? You can hear me? Can you hear me at the back? Take a seat. It looks like a press conference now. Yes. Good. All we need is the paparazzi today.
Yeah, he's there.
Yes. My pranams to revered Swami Chandrasekharanandaji Maharaj. I think we sort of came to the United States almost at the same time. I remember working on the visas and all in Belur Math.
Few months senior to me.
I came in December, Maharaj, 2015. Before that I'd come once, but I came permanently in 2015.
December 29.
I think around that time, exactly that time, yes. So we just heard a wonderful, very informative, very rich presentation by Shayan with a lot of research about the history of the Vedanta Society of Portland. It's an auspicious day. It's Lakshmi Puja. It is 100 years of the establishment, October 6, 1925. And what a journey. On this day, we bow down to Thakur, Ma, Swamiji, and also the great ones who came here and who made it possible, this journey, the pioneers. Swami Abhedananda, direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Trigunatitananda, a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. They were the pioneers here who encouraged, who came and gave talks here and encouraged people. Then they were followed by others. Swami Prakashananda, Swami Vividishananda, Swami Prabhavananda, who was instrumental, who started the Vedanta Society here in 1925. Then we had Swami Devatmananda for a very long time, who carried on the work here. Then Swami, I also saw pictures there in the nice display there of Swami Ashokananda visiting from San Francisco. And then Swami Asheshanandaji was here. Swami Asheshanandaji, Swami Shantaswarupanandaji, Shantarupanandaji is another Swami whom Maharaj knew very well. And Swami Chandrasekharanandaji. To all those who made all this possible, their holy lives, they lived here and they have poured their spiritual power into this place. We offer our pranams and we seek their blessings. Maharaj asked me to talk about Vedanta societies, Vedanta and Vedanta societies in general, Vedanta in a gist and the Vedanta society movement in general. So just say a few words. So the word we use, Vedanta, it has a technical meaning, and it also has a meaning in the sense in which we use it. There's a technical meaning. Vedanta means the Upanishads. So as brahmacharis, when we learn Vedanta, we memorize the definition of Vedanta. Vedanta nama Upanishad pramanam. Vedanta is verily the source of spiritual knowledge called the Upanishads. And that's true. That's at the source of Hinduism. In the Vedas, there are these spiritual and philosophical texts called the Upanishads, and taken together, they constitute the foundation of Vedanta. There are other texts like the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutra, and a vast, vast subsequent literature. But the sense in which Swami Vivekananda used Vedanta here in the West, and that's the sense in which we understand it today, worldwide, he meant the entire gamut of spiritual treasures of India. When he came to Chicago and spoke on 9/11, it's interesting, that is the same date, 9/11. So he spoke there and he talked about Vedanta. Sister Nivedita says that when he stood up to speak in Chicago, before him was the New West. Because you remember, it was not just the Parliament of Religions, it was the Columbian Exposition. So there was a display of new science, technology, exploration, discoveries around the world. Tesla was there, the scientist, not the car, with his pavilion. Edison was there with his pavilion. So there was the New West with its power, energy, dynamism, enthusiasm, that was in front of Vivekananda. And then Nivedita writes, behind him lay India with its 5,000 years of patient development of its spiritual heritage. So this spiritual heritage is what Vivekananda brought to the West. He built a bridge between the East and the West. And across this bridge, over the last 100 years, so many Swamis have come, not just the Vedanta Society Swamis, but the monks, teachers from various Indian traditions. Vivekananda, as it were, unlocked this treasury of 5,000 years of what Nivedita calls patient development of spirituality. So various orders, right here in the West Coast, Paramahamsa Yogananda, whose book, Autobiography of Yogi, is very famous, and so many others came. And afterwards, Krishnamurti came, afterwards, Satchidananda, then the whole yoga movement, the Hatha Yoga movement, which is sort of exploded across the world, but from the United States. And it was kick-started by people, especially 3 people from Mysore, Krishnamacharya, Pattabhi Joyce, B.K.S. Iyengar. Then you had Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, and so on. This journey has been charted by Phil Goldberg in his book, American Veda. And in the whole of the 20th century, what happened on the bridge that Vivekananda built. So Vedanta is what Vivekananda brought to the West. And why only the West? Because through America, especially America, he knew it was going to be the center of the world in the century ahead. So the seeds you sow here will spread across the world. What did he mean by Vedanta? If we look at the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we see, yes, the traditional Advaita Vedanta is there. There is Atma Anatma Vichara, the self and the not self. Who am I that I am existence, consciousness, bliss? That kind of tradition comes through Sri Ramakrishna. His guru was Totapuri, Advaita Guru. And often he talks about that also. Brahman is real, the world is false. All of this he talks about it, teaches it. But it's not just Advaita Vedanta. Through Sri Ramakrishna comes the great lineages, not just one, multiple lineages of bhakti. It is the Vishishtadvaita school, the Dvaita school, and what was the bhakti movement in Bengal, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the Bengal school of Vaishnavism. You clearly see the influence of that in Sri Ramakrishna. It's not just influence, his practice. He practiced Advaita Vedanta, Vedanta Vichara, and attained to realization that I am Brahman. But he also practiced worship of God in the form of Krishna and attained to perfection in that, the Vaishnava Bhakti. He practiced Shakti Upasana all his life, from the beginning till the very end of his mortal life. Whether it is Vedanta, Advaita, whether it is Christianity, Islam, whatever is going on, always his beloved mother was there, Kali. So he was Kali was his Ishta Devata, and he worshipped Kali all lifelong as his mother. So there is the tantric tradition with all their chakras and kundalini awakening, and so he attained perfection in that path, perfection in the yogic paths of samadhi, in meditation and attainment of the deepest absorptions of samadhi up to nirvikalpaka samadhi. And then beyond the margins or borders of Sanatana Dharma, he looked, Swami Tapasyanji calls him a glutton for God. A glutton for God. There's one thing that he was greedy about, and it was God. He wanted to see how God is worshipped and attained in other traditions also, beyond the vast range available in Hinduism. There were Sikhs right there who used to come and talk to him. And Islam, which was there, he learnt and practiced Islam for a while. He learnt and practiced Christianity, a brand of Christian mysticism for a while, and attained to realization in those paths too, leading to his extraordinary declaration, Jato Mat Tato Pat. All these religious traditions within Hinduism and beyond the borders of Hinduism are grand paths to enlightenment. They all access that same reality. And one can, the only condition is sincerity, is to say Vyakulata, restlessness for God realization. That's the only condition. And then you follow any path. He would say that you have to follow a path. He said, "Ektake dhore thakte hoy." In Bengali he said, "Mot pot, mot kichu noy, tobe ektake dhore thakte hoy." So mot means path, faith, opinion, a particular religious paradigm. And he says each of them is a path. And it's not important which one you follow, but you have to follow something sincerely. That also he said. It's not that you can dismiss them all. So this is what, all of this, Vivekananda called Vedanta. So you can see, he's already stretched Vedanta to include the entire spiritual treasury of India, and also open to all the other paths across the world throughout the history of civilization. What Aldous Huxley calls the perennial path, the perennial way, perennial philosophy. His book is there, wonderful book. So Vivekananda brings this here. And not just this. These are all ancient paths within Sanatana Dharma and beyond its borders also. But also something new. So the Vedanta that Vivekananda brought here and what is given here is also, there's something new here. What is new? Well, first and foremost, what I was talking about, the harmony of all religions. So far, religions have been exclusivistic. I am right and you are wrong. Only one is right. And somehow, lo and behold, it's my religion which is right. And everything else is wrong. Either you ignore them, they're all wrong, you go your own path. Or worse, you're wrong and it's my duty to correct you. So I have to bring you to my path. And that led to enormous conflict and religious hatred and bloodshed, and still does to some extent today. That means this teaching of the harmony of religions is very much valid even today, needed in this 21st century. Unfortunately, it's needed because I just said 9/11. And, in New York, if you say 9/11, they will not say Swami Vivekananda's speech in Chicago. They will say 9/11, 2001, when the Twin Towers, we just had the anniversary. So in New York, if you go on 9/11, even every year, you will see these twin beams of light shooting up into space in the dark. It's lit up that time in the year. Where the Twin Towers stood, now there are pillars of lights there going up into infinity. But what is the solution to that? How can we overcome and transcend this hatred, which is so utterly unnecessary? These are all grand paths and beautiful paths. In them, each of them, each of these religions have produced saints throughout the centuries and millennia. So these paths all work. They are all grand, they are all beautiful, they are full of spiritual truth. So this is the solution. The solution lies here, that the harmony of religions. This is something new. This is something new. It's implicit in Vedanta, in Hinduism, but what is implicit in Hinduism was made explicit by Sri Ramakrishna in the 19th and 20th centuries. And that's something the Vedanta Society brings to the West and across the world. But also, the harmony, Vivekananda talked about the harmony of the yogas. Another thing that Vivekananda did and which we teach here, all these spiritual paths, what do you actually do in spirituality? Well, you meditate. You worship exactly as we did, through ritual, song and prayer, and food. Next. There is devotion. There is meditation. There are philosophical inquiries, Vedantic inquiry, the path of philosophical inquiry. There's also the life of spiritualized action, service. And so many paths which you see in Sri Ramakrishna, the Shakta Tantras, worship of the Shiva in Shaivism, the Gauriya Vaishnavism, worship of Krishna and Radha, of course, the worship of Kali, the Vedantic non-dual path, the path of the Sikhs in Sikhism, and he's also mentioned Buddhism in Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel you find, and then the paths of Christianity and Islam, and by extension all the major religious paths of the world, that they are all true, and we, being rooted in our own tradition, whatever it is, we can open ourselves up to the spiritual truths in other paths and enrich our own spiritual journey. This is something new. It was not really there. Now it's an accomplished fact. Whether you accept it or not, it's already a fact in the world. Anybody who's interested in spiritual life, in this interconnected world, they have access not only to their own traditions, they have access to the texts, teachers, and practices of all traditions. You find people, all of us here, we have not only studied Vedanta, we practiced, some of us have practiced Buddhist mindfulness, some of us have studied and practiced Christian mysticism, and so on. So, this is something that Vedanta societies brought to the West. It came out of the soil of Hinduism, where it was easy to do that, because Hinduism itself is tremendously diverse and tolerant and accepting of diversity. So that was brought here. Then Vivekananda's harmonization of this vast range of spiritual practices into his famous 4 yogas. That's also new. Again, all of these are not entirely new. They were all there implicit in Vedanta. But Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna, they make it explicit. The Vedanta societies, they make it explicit. So a clear, broad highway of spirituality. What is this highway of spirituality? There is the yoga of meditation. Raja Yoga, Vivekananda called it, based on the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, but potentially it can be expanded to include all paths of meditation. So then there is the yoga of devotion and love, ritual, worship, prayer, song. Then that is Bhakti Yoga, Vivekananda called it Bhakti Yoga. Then there is Jnana Yoga, the traditional Advaita Vedanta path of spiritual inquiry. Who am I? The inquiry through philosophy and experience. Then something unique to Vivekananda, which he called Karma Yoga. And Karma Yoga was always there in Sanatana Dharma, but it was always given a subservient part. You first do Karma Yoga of some sort, purify yourself, then you are ready for Jnana, knowledge, the higher knowledge, or you are ready for Bhakti, if you follow Shankara or Ramanuja, depending on which one. But Karma Yoga was never regarded as an independent path. Swami Vivekananda gave enormous stress on Karma Yoga. And I think we are just now beginning to see why. This is a land of action, and now this culture spread all over the world. Nobody can avoid work. Imagine what we call work today. Women, not that women did not work, they worked very hard, harder than men probably, but it was not regarded as careers, professions, work earlier. Yet, what a huge revolution has happened in the last 50, 60 years. Everybody works in the same sense, that you earn your living, you can live independently, you learn skills and have a profession. So in this kind of society which has come up, not just the US, not just Manhattan, a city that never sleeps, but across the world, it's the culture of the modern world. Can we spiritualize work? Or do we have to hold on to that old division between sacred and secular? Here is my spiritual life, temple, Vedanta society, meditation. That is my secular life. This is my spiritual life. That is my secular life. At home, in the kitchen, in the garden, in the office, in the school. These are two different lives. This is always understood. Now this is something new that Vivekananda did. The Vedanta that he brought to the West, Sister Nivedita puts it very powerfully. Henceforth, no division between the sacred and the secular. To labor is to pray. To have and hold is as stern a trust as to quit and renounce. She says that the classroom, the shop, the shop floor, the factory floor, the farmer's field, these are as fit for places of meeting of man and God as the cellar of a monk or the doors of a temple. So in our day-to-day life, this is something very great, that whole of life can be and should be spiritualized. Otherwise, if you keep the distinction between, especially in modern life, if you keep the distinction between spirituality and secular life, both will suffer, and both are suffering. As the old forms of religion slowly fade away into oblivion, more and more churches are empty. Not so much in the United States, but especially if you go to Europe. And these effects are there across the world. The old forms of religion have lost their grip somewhat, to some extent. They do not appeal, especially the more educated you are, the more prosperous you are, well off you are. You find those societies become more and more secular. They become more and more non-religious. And in some sense, more and more better also. You see the first world civic societies, and very nice societies. And nobody sees a reason for the old forms of temples and churches and rituals. Why? What are they giving us? What will be the spirituality of the future? So as spirituality, the traditional forms lose their hold, and religion retreats from our lives, it is replaced by meaninglessness. So the secular life, it begins to seem meaningless after some time. When you are young in Wall Street and earning $1 million seems like a good idea. 10 years of trading on the shop floor and you begin to face burnout and meaninglessness. Why am I doing this? Even if I get it, even if I win the rat race, you're still a rat. So people, if you think like that, that's a sign of maturity. But then what do you have in lieu of that? If religion has faded away from our lives, a philosopher said, the four great worldviews in Western philosophy, in Western thinking. It's Luc Ferry, a French philosopher. He says there was the Greek worldview, then there was the Christian worldview. There was a phase of Christianity, the Christian worldview. Then there was the modern world, the Renaissance and modernity. And now we have the postmodern worldview. Now he says, people ask me, which one would you prefer? What worldview would you like, would you prefer to be true? He says, I prefer the Christian worldview. I want a religious world, a spiritual world. But, he says, this philosopher, I can no longer believe. After modernity and postmodernity, those things, they seem childish. What theology told us 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, I can no longer believe. I want to believe, but I can no longer believe. Now here is the challenge. Can we have a spirituality for the 21st century? Where it can be demonstrated to us, the claims of religion, yes, the ancient religion till today, those are true. Those are true. Demonstrated. And not only in the lives of Sri Ramakrishna, Mahasharada, Vivekananda, as Vivekananda says, if someone says, I have seen but you cannot see, you must follow me, do not follow such a one. If someone says, I have seen and you can too, I will show you how you can see for yourself. Then you can follow such a teacher. That's the kind of spirituality which we want in this 21st century and in the centuries ahead, which will answer to, as Vivekananda says, the most rigorous demands of logic and reason. We must put religion to the same test as science does its own claims. And if something, you have to lose something, maybe you find that it is not true, no matter how comforting, how soothing, you have to let go of it. If something is false, even if it is soothing and sweet and comforting, you have to let go. In the long run, that which is not true, at least you know it is not true, cannot be good. So a religion which is based on truth, which proves itself through scientific investigation, logic, rigor, rationality, That was the reason. He says, Vivekananda says, the reason why he preached, he taught, he stressed Advaita. Not because he thought that alone is true. He says it because it answers to the demands, the requirements of this age. It's a rational age, a rational religion for a rational age. A democratic religion for a democratic age. So, this is the second thing he brings to the West, the harmony of the four yogas and a rational religion. In fact, the logo he made of the Ramakrishna order, which you see everywhere here, you see in all our books, and it is there. Here you can see it here behind you. So he designed it in New York. He was sitting for breakfast one day, and the printer who was going to, a Dutchman, Van Hagen, who was going to print a pamphlet of Vivekananda's talks, he came to Vivekananda and said, it would be nice to have a logo. You see, New Yorkerite brain. We should have a logo. Can you give me something? And Vivekananda sitting there, he took a napkin, I think, and he scratched out something quickly with a pen and then tossed it across to the printer and said, draw it to scale. So the printer looked at it and said, what does this mean? And Vivekananda said, he explained, there you have it there, a big one there, right behind you. So the waters, the wavy waters represent karma, the ups and downs of life, of action, your busy work and action in the life, in the world. The blooming lotus represents love, devotion, bhakti. The rising sun at the back represents jnana, knowledge, the Vedantic knowledge, I am Brahman. And the serpent encircling the whole thing represents the Kundalini Shakti, the power of yoga, meditation. And in the center you have the swan, the Paramahamsa, that represents the Supreme Self, Brahman, Atman, God, whatever you call it. And so the idea is, by a harmony of these four, work, devotion, knowledge, and meditation, one realizes the Supreme Self. As Vivekananda's famous definition, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within. You do it by, he says, philosophy. Very interesting. Jnana Yoga, the way of knowledge, he calls it philosophy. Do it by philosophy. Do it by psychic control, control of the mind, that is meditation. Do it by love, devotion. Or by action, work, by which he means service. The Karma Yoga. Not just service, all work actually. It's very interesting. And he says by one or more, suppose you say, I just want knowledge. I like Advaita Vedanta, I don't like the rest. All right, you can do that by one. I like meditation. I don't like all this, the rest of your sentimental devotion and stuff. Then all right, you can do it by meditation. He says one or more or all of these. And be free. That is the whole of religion. Books, temples, doctrines, churches are secondary details. It's a legendary definition of what religion is, what spirituality is. Did he have a preference, Vivekananda? His preference was a harmony of all four. That's another thing he teaches us. Vedanta societies talk about, let us have knowledge, devotion, action, and meditation in our lives. Engagement with the world and withdrawal from the world. Why not? We are thinking beings. What prevents us from being philosophers? We are people with heart. What prevents us from loving and worshipping? We are people in the world where the world needs your help. What prevents us from serving? Nothing. And we have minds, the power of attention, focus. This is so important today. So all four yogas, they are meant for us. And Vivekananda, and one further recommendation, teaching was the harmony. He says he saw that in Sri Ramakrishna, a perfect development of yoga, bhakti, jnana, and karma. And he says it is possible for all of us, to our own extent, whatever extent we can. Spiritual life is actually better, wholesome, and easier if we develop all four. Then the harmony of religion and science, that's another thing Vivekananda actively promoted. He struck up friendships with Tesla, William James, Abhedananda, who came here. We have his visits to Edison, long discussions with Edison. There is a correspondence between Vivekananda and Tesla. So there is one truth. Why should there be, there are not two truths. There is one universe, one reality, one truth. So what science is trying to access, spirituality also is accessing the same thing. Why should not we map them? Why should not there be a harmony? An effort should be made. And that effort Vivekananda started. And it goes on even today. That's another thing that we promote in the Vedanta societies. So in this way, and it's not just all that Vivekananda bought from India, the ancient religion, also the new innovations that his master wrought, but also what he got from the United States. He says to his hostess once, he says, "Madam, I have fallen in love." And she says, "Oh, who is the lucky woman?" And he says, "It's not a lady, it's organization." Yeah. And that's what happened in the Vedanta Society in New York. It was organized on modern lines. This is something that he liked, what he saw in the West, the power of organization, to preserve, develop, and transmit these spiritual traditions. Modern organization. People acknowledge or do not acknowledge, but the effect on Hinduism is tremendous. If you see all the modern Hindu organizations who have come afterwards, after Vivekananda, whatever it is, you will see they are more or less the same pattern. They are not the old kind of wandering monk or traditional priest in India. This same organizations, the kind of teachings, the way in which things are taught, way in which the work is organized, more or less the same pattern. The paradigm which Vivekananda set up. So, Sister Nivedita says, when he stood up to speak in the Chicago Parliament of Religions, he stood up to speak about, to introduce Hinduism. When he finished, Hinduism had been created, he says. Created means the Hinduism had been a new vision of Hinduism for the future. And that scholars now are working on this now actually. The way modern Hindus look at themselves is the vision set for them by Vivekananda. Sister Nivedita knew this at that time. In the introduction to the complete works of Vivekananda, she writes, in these pages, the Vivekananda's works, his lectures and writings, in these pages, in centuries to come, the Hindu man who would verify his faith would turn to these pages. The Hindu mother who would teach the faith of her ancestors to her children will turn to these pages. So the way Vivekananda, there's no other way out. If you want to beat a retreat back to the Vedas or the Puranas, it will never not happen. Those are part of our tradition now, but we can only look forward. You can't put in the back gear and withdraw. You are already on the ramp to the freeway of, although I'll end with this. Maybe you can reverse if you are Swami Asheshananda. One of the Matajis, Brajaprana Mataji told us this funny incident. So she had tremendous time here with Swami Asheshananda. He was a powerhouse of spirituality. I didn't see him, but from whoever I've heard. So she says, Asheshanji was there and Mrs. Bush, I think, was driving. Who was to drive? Mrs. Edwards. She was driving. Her very... It happened with Kathy Pratt. And at the back seat, in the back, this young nun, she was sitting, and they are on the ramp entering the freeway. Suddenly, Swami changes his mind. He says, back out of this. And she says, I was horrified. I was just going to say, you can't do that. And to my horror, this lady, a white lady, an American lady who knows you can't do that, without a single murmur of dissent, she brakes and she reverses full speed out of the ramp. And Mataji says, I was ready to die. And I closed my eyes and said, this is where I die. Nothing happened. And no accident, no cops, nothing. Anyway, so this is a transmission of an ancient civilization, the gathering of spiritual forces coming through the Vedanta societies here, as Maharaj mentioned, to New York and San Francisco during Swami Vivekananda's time. But immediately after that, at least a dozen others came up. Plus, Vivekananda is not just limited to the Vedanta societies. Vivekananda is all of Hinduism and belongs to the whole world. So you see the entire flow of spiritual teachers and masters, not just Hindu teachers, even I will say the Buddhist lamas and bhikshus who came, is all on the path set by Vivekananda. That's the heritage and the wider scale. Yes, the story of a Vedanta society, no doubt, but also the story of how civilizations grow, mature, intermingle, and a new world civilization. Those might have seemed like dreams when Vivekananda came. Today it's a fact. 100 years ago, the freeway he put us on, we have gone down that. It could have been otherwise. The whole project could have failed. Today there would have been no Hinduism in USA, no yoga in USA, no meditation in USA. Could have been, who knows? But no, that's not true. That's not what happened. Today in India, Vivekananda and Ramakrishna could have been forgotten. No, that's not what happened. And they are, says somebody said, as centuries roll by, Vivekananda will stand taller and taller. All the great men and women of his generation, his time, late 19th century, early 20th century, people like, even great people like Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore in India, they will slowly fade into the pages of history. They'll remain great people, historical figures, but alive and towering, taller and taller as the centuries go by. You will see Vivekananda in the ages ahead, and the movement which he started spreading across the world. It's early days yet, just 100 years down the line. Yes, Vivekananda said it's for a millennium, for 1,000 years. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. My pranams to revered Maharaj, who's always been very affectionate to me and has invited me. I feel blessed to be here with you on this momentous occasion. This is something that I will remember. I was talking just a little while ago to the General Secretary of our order. He had called for some reason, and I mentioned we are here, and he conveyed his best wishes. So, yes, thank you very much.
No, that's fine. Okay. So we have 2-3 items still. But before that, one correction. The Fradkin, Kathy Fradkin, when she was driving, Swami Ashishan said, no, you follow this way. And she said, no, I know. But then she forgot the way. And ultimately, he had to follow what Swami Ashishanji had to told her. So that's a different story. Yeah, different story. Yeah. So now we'll have, before we Thanksgiving, we'll invite two of our devotees who are also very say elderly. I mean, they were initiated by Swami Ashishananji Maharaj, and they are here associated for long. So I now invite Graja and also Chanda. And I just now, I also notice Barbara is there. So just now we'll have two, and Barbara also included. So this is as our token love for our devotees who are here just to honor. And after that, Graja is there. Please come forward. And then we'll have Barbara also come. This are love, token of love. And Graja. Yeah. So one thing before Thanksgiving, you know that Rabindranath Tagore wrote a beautiful 4-liner. He wrote, "Who will take up my task?" asked the departing son. Who will take my task? asked the departing son. The world heard, but remained silent, an unmoving image. A humble earthen lamp replied, "Master, I shall do what little I am here. I am able." So we all are there. This is a stream. We are to continue this stream. And this service should not be stopped. It is for the good of humanity. And don't think that it is we individuals. We are shining because of light, because of our great masters. So it is not individuals, but it is the tradition. We have a tremendous tradition. And we feel so strong. Even we are not great in number, but we are very strong. And we have only 15 centers in the United States and less than 300 in the whole world. 200, about 80, 90. But we are very strong. Don't think we are feeble because of our tradition. And we are working silently like sun. It gives light without making noise. So this is happening. That is why we have not faded out in the history. And as we go forward, strength will be gathered and we will be more forceful. And it's happening. So with this word, I now request Lokesh to thank Maharaj and thank all our audience.
Namaste and good afternoon to everyone. I bow at the holy feet of Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada and Srimad Swami Vivekananda. My pranams to revered Swami Chandrasekharananji and revered Swami Surapriyananji. So I have been given this responsibility to thank everyone. So it is a great 3 days we had. So we want to express our heartfelt thanks to all the people who are involved in organizing this 3-day event. So first of all, we should appreciate and thank Swami Chandrasekharananji to taking this responsibility and then organizing, planning, executing, and guiding all of us through these 3 days. So he has arranged a plan so meticulously each and everything for last 3 days. So I would express my, on behalf of Vedanta Society of Portland and also on the behalf of Portland community, we express our gratitude to Swami Chandrasekharananji. So now our main personality for last 3 days. So we had a wonderful time with Swami Sarvapriyananji Maharaj, who came all the way from the East Coast. He stayed if you count his travel days also, he spent around 5 days for us. So if you count them. So we had a very great time with Swami Sarapriyananji. With his talks, he has elevated us all one level. So I feel like that. With his great talks like on Advaita, he has elevated us. I have never listened to a more convincing lecture on Advaita Vedanta in such a simple language with easily understandable examples. I have never seen. This is my own feeling. On behalf of Vedanta Society of Portland and Portland community, I express our deepest gratitude to Swamiji. And I have a request. So we also request Swamiji to visit Portland again and again. And at least our request is at least once in a year. And I request Swami Chandrasekharananji to book his next dates for next year. So that we don't miss out.
I authorize you. Because it's very difficult to get him.
I know, that's why I'm playing in advance. So before he leaves, we get a sign off on the next dates.
Okay. So we have listened.
Okay, then moving on, on last 3 days, we had a lot of singing groups who have come here, offered their service, our chanting groups and singing groups. So we want to thank all of them. So to name a few, Sai Bhajan group has came and offered their service. Vedanta Veda Parties, Toby and Paul, Chandama, and other devotees. We would like to thank all of them for coming and giving the Sangeeta Seva in our events. I would now like to thank our sponsors. We have some sponsors who sponsored Prasad, who sponsored food and other monetary support. So in different capacities. So I would like to thank all of them. Thank you for your support, and please continue this support going forward as well. Next, for any event, audio visual is very, very important. Without audio visual, you guys can't hear me, whoever is talking, or we can't visualize what's happening. So I would like to thank our audio visual team who has done a very tremendous job maybe it is in Tabor space or in ashrama or wherever it is. They have done a very well organized and coordinated effort to make these things happen. I thank all the audiovisual team who has helped us in last 3 days. In last 3 days during the celebration, nothing is possible. All these things are not possible without an army of volunteers. So I don't know whoever all has done the volunteering, but so many people have come and helped us whenever help was required. So there are numerous hands which have worked at this. So I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to all the volunteers who have supported us in the last 3 days. In conclusion, we are deeply grateful to everyone who has contributed to make these events a memorable one. And thank you all once again. Thank you for your support. Jai Ram Krishna.
Thanks to Lokesh also.
Okay, now we'll have Pushpanjali. Actually, this is our last item here, and we'll gather in Tiger. And after that, 17 other monks and nuns will come the whole year. So we have plenty of permission. Okay. विश्वरूपस्य भार्यासि विश्वरूपस्य भार्यासि पद्मे पद्मालये शुभे सर्वदा पाहि मां देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय महामाई की जय स्वामी महाराज की Sarvapriyanand, why?